When I woke up in that hospital, I was alone. No visits. No calls. My brother saw my accident as a golden opportunity. He drained my accounts, sold my $3 million dream house for pocket change, and wasted it all on his doomed business, with my parents standing behind him. They thought I'd never return. But after a month, when I walked through that door, their faces weren't just shocked, they were terrified. I laughed at them because the house they sold was their biggest mistake. Life has a strange way of showing who truly stands by you when everything falls apart. I learned this the hard way. My name is Jessica Carter, and for years, I believed my family was my greatest support. I was wrong. What I thought was love turned out to be greed in disguise. They didn't just betray me, they erased me from their lives when they thought I was no longer useful. But they underestimated me. I grew up in Miami, Florida, in a well-off family. My grandfather, a successful businessman, always believed in me, while my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Carter, favored my younger brother, Lucas. My grandfather saw potential in me. Before he passed away, he gifted me a $3 million luxury beach house, a place where I built my dreams, where I found peace away from the shadows of my family's favoritism. I worked hard, built my own business, and lived independently, refusing to depend on anyone. But Lucas was different. Lazy, irresponsible, and reckless, he never worked a day in his life. Instead, he dreamed of shortcuts to wealth, mostly illegal ones. My parents enabled him, always defending his mistakes, always making excuses for his failures. He was their golden boy, while I was the one expected to manage on my own. I never let that bother me, until the day I saw how far their greed could go. It started with a road accident. I don't remember much from that day. I was driving home after a long business meeting when out of nowhere, a speeding truck slammed into my car. The impact was devastating. Everything went black. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed, barely alive. My body was broken, my strength drained, and my mind foggy from the painkillers. But the real pain? It wasn't physical. At first, I thought my family would be by my side. I was wrong. Days turned into weeks, and not a single one of them came to see me. Not my mother. Not my father. Not Lucas. It was as if I didn't exist. The only person who stayed with me was Dr. Ethan Walker, my childhood friend, and now my lifesaver. He refused to leave my side, making sure I had the best medical care. "You need to focus on getting better, Jessica," he would say every day, his voice full of determination. I wanted to believe he was right. But deep down, a voice whispered that something was wrong. My instincts were screaming at me, warning me that something terrible had happened while I was gone. Then one evening, Ethan finally told me the truth. He had been holding back, not wanting to stress me, but he knew I needed to hear it. "Jessica, I didn't want to tell you this before, but you need to know." He hesitated, his jaw tightening. "Your brother, he sold your beach house." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. It felt like the walls around me were caving in. "What?" My voice was barely a whisper. "He forged documents while you were unconscious. He sold your beach house for way less than it's worth. And the worst part? He spent every penny on his illegal business, import and export of God knows what." I shook my head, unable to process it. No, that couldn't be true. My family wouldn't allow that, right? My parents wouldn't let him steal from me. Ethan's silence told me everything. They supported him, didn't they? My voice trembled with barely contained rage. Ethan sighed. "They didn't just support him, Jessica. They helped him." I closed my eyes, trying to block out the betrayal crushing me. My own blood had turned against me. My parents, the people who were supposed to protect me, had stood by Lucas as he destroyed everything I built. I wanted to scream, to cry, but I couldn't afford to break. "Not now." "How much money?" I forced myself to ask. Ethan's expression darkened. "All of it." He burned through the money like it was nothing. His business? A complete failure. He lost everything. I clenched my fists, feeling a cold rage settle in my chest. They thought I wouldn't come back. They assumed I was too weak to fight. They were wrong. I turned to Ethan, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. Take me home. Jessica, you're not strong enough yet. I don't care. I cut him off. I need to see it with my own eyes. Ethan hesitated but finally nodded. All right, but I'm coming with you. The next morning, he helped me into his car, and we drove toward what was once my home. The drive felt endless, my heart pounding with every mile. My hands shook, not from weakness, but from the sheer fury building inside me. When we arrived, my worst nightmare was confirmed. My home was gone. The beach house that held years of memories, my grandfather's legacy, my safe place, it was no longer mine. In its place stood a sold sign mocking me. The house had been stripped of everything valuable, turned into someone else's possession. Ethan parked the car, but I couldn't move. I just sat there, staring at the ruins of my past life. Then I saw them. Lucas, my parents, laughing. They were sitting in the garden of our old family home, celebrating. As if nothing had happened. As if I had never existed. Something inside me snapped. I pushed the car door open and stepped out. The moment my mother's eyes met mine, the laughter died. My father's face paled. And Lucas? He froze. He looked at me as if he was seeing a ghost. I took a deep breath, my voice calm but deadly. Surprised to see me, Lucas? For a second, no one spoke. Then, Lucas forced a smile, but I could see the panic in his eyes. Jessica, we thought, he laughed nervously. We thought you weren't coming back. I took slow steps toward them. Oh, I came back. And now, we have a lot to talk about. Silence. Thick, suffocating silence. I could see the guilt, the fear. They had thought I was gone forever. They had thought I would never come back to claim what was mine. But I was here, and I wasn't going anywhere. They had no idea what was coming for them. I stood there, staring at the faces of the people I once called family. Lucas, my mother, my father. They had no idea what to say, how to react, because in their minds I was never supposed to return. Lucas was the first to recover from the shock. He stood up quickly, forcing a smirk onto his face, but his eyes betrayed his fear. Jessica, look, we thought you weren't coming back, he said, as if that made everything okay. I felt my hands curl into fists, my nails digging into my palms, but I refused to show my anger. Not yet. You thought I wasn't coming back? I repeated, my voice eerily calm. So, that gave you the right to steal everything from me? Lucas shrugged, trying to appear casual. It wasn't like that. The house, it was just sitting there, Jess. We thought. We. I cut him off sharply, shifting my gaze toward my parents. My mother looked away, avoiding my eyes, and my father sat frozen, gripping the arms of his chair. They were guilty, and they knew it. I took a deep breath. I wouldn't let them manipulate me with their silence. I turned back to Lucas. Tell me, Lucas, how much did you sell my house for? He hesitated, but I already knew the answer. Half of its worth, wasn't it? I said before he could speak. You sold a $3 million luxury beach house for pennies. And what did you do with all that money? Lucas scoffed, crossing his arms. I invested it, he said defensively. I let out a short, humorless laugh. You mean you threw it all into your illegal business? That struck a nerve. His face twisted with anger. It was a good opportunity. I was going to make it big. You wouldn't understand. I understand perfectly. I stepped closer, my voice dropping into something cold. You took everything I built, everything Grandpa gave me, and you gambled it away like it meant nothing. Lucas clenched his jaw, but before he could respond, my father finally spoke. His voice was tight, defensive. Jessica, you need to understand. We thought you weren't coming back, he said, his words making my stomach turn. I looked at him, my own father, and for the first time, I saw him clearly. He hadn't just let this happen, he had encouraged it. You didn't even check if I was alive, I whispered, the weight of their betrayal settling deep in my chest. Not once. Not a single visit. Nothing. My mother finally raised her eyes, but there was no regret in them. We had to look out for Lucas, she said simply. And there it was. The truth. Lucas had always been their priority. Their golden son. I shook my head. And what about me? Your daughter? My voice cracked slightly, but I quickly steadied it. Or was I just an inconvenience to you? My mother sighed, as if she was tired of this conversation. Jessica, you always managed on your own. You never needed us. I let out a bitter laugh. So, because I was independent, I didn't deserve a family? I looked between them. And that justifies what you did. Lucas rolled his eyes.
Come on, Jess. Stop being dramatic.
It's not like you can do anything about it now. That was his biggest mistake, thinking I was weak, thinking I wouldn't fight back. I straightened my posture, meeting his gaze with unwavering determination. You really think I'm just going to walk away? Lucas smirked. What else can you do? I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. You're going to find out. I turned on my heel and walked away, Ethan close behind me. I didn't need to argue with them anymore. I had wasted enough energy on people who never cared about me. As soon as we got into the car, Ethan let out a sharp breath. Jessica, are you okay? I turned to him, my jaw clenched.
No, Ethan.
I'm not, but I will be. He nodded, understanding. So, what's next? I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I knew by heart. After 2 rings, a calm, professional voice answered. Rachel Dawson speaking. I exhaled slowly. Rachel, it's Jessica. I need your help. There was a brief pause. Then her voice turned sharp. Tell me everything. And so I did. Every detail. Every betrayal. Every crime Lucas had committed. By the time I finished, Rachel's voice was steel. They think they've won, she murmured. But they don't realize they've left a trail of evidence a mile long. We can take them down. I nodded.
Good.
Let's do it. Rachel wasted no time. The next morning, we met at her office. She spread out the documents in front of me. First things first, she said. The sale of your beach house was completely fraudulent. Your brother forged your signature. I wasn't surprised. Can we get it back? Rachel smirked. Not just that. We can file criminal charges against him.
Fraud. Theft.
Illegal business dealings. And if your parents were involved, she trailed off, but I understood. They wouldn't just lose me. They would lose everything. Ethan, who had been sitting beside me, crossed his arms. Jessica, are you sure about this? I turned to him. They didn't hesitate to destroy me, Ethan. Why should I hesitate to get justice? Rachel nodded approvingly. I'll start the legal process immediately. But you need to be ready. This won't be easy. I straightened my shoulders. I'm ready. For the first time in months, I felt in control again. I had lost everything, but I wasn't beaten. I was going to take it all back. And this time, they wouldn't see me coming. I spent the next few days preparing myself for the storm that was coming. Lucas and my parents had stolen everything from me, thinking I wouldn't fight back. They thought I was gone, but they didn't realize that I had come back stronger. With Rachel Dawson, my attorney, leading the legal charge, and Ethan by my side, I was ready to reclaim everything they had taken. Rachel worked fast. She filed a lawsuit against Lucas for fraud, forgery, and theft. She also launched an investigation into his so-called business. What she uncovered was even worse than I had expected. Lucas hadn't just lost all the money. He had used it to fund illegal imports and shady deals. His entire operation was built on deception and law-breaking. And the best part? He had left behind mountains of evidence. One afternoon, as I sat in Rachel's office reviewing the case details, she leaned forward, her sharp eyes locked onto mine. Jessica, your parents knew everything, she said bluntly. They didn't just support Lucas, they helped cover up his crimes. I felt my stomach drop, but deep down, I wasn't surprised. I had stopped expecting anything from them the moment they betrayed me. Will they go down with him? I asked, my voice steady. Rachel nodded. If we push hard enough, yes. But I need to know, do you want to press charges against them too? I stared at the pile of documents in front of me. These were the people who had abandoned me in a hospital bed. The ones who never once checked if I was alive, who spent my money and laughed as if I had never existed. They had already chosen their side. I lifted my eyes to meet Rachel's.
Yes.
I want them all to pay. Rachel smiled grimly. Then let's make it happen. The legal battle began, and it didn't take long for everything to start crumbling around them. Lucas was the first to get served with legal notice. When he received the lawsuit, he stormed into Rachel's office, demanding to speak with me. I agreed, not because I wanted to hear his excuses, but because I wanted to watch him squirm. The moment he walked in, he wasn't the arrogant brother who had mocked me the day I came home. He looked disheveled, desperate, his cocky smirk replaced by panic. "Jessica, come on," he started, trying to sound casual, but his voice cracked. "This is all just a misunderstanding. We're family." I leaned back in my chair, studying him. "Funny. You didn't think about family when you sold my house, drained my accounts, and left me for dead." Lucas flinched. I was under pressure. "You have no idea how tough things were for me." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, you mean running an illegal business was stressful?" His face turned red. "I didn't mean for things to get this bad. I thought I could fix it before you came back." I scoffed. "You thought I wouldn't come back, Lucas. You thought you could steal everything and get away with it." He ran a hand through his hair, his frustration evident. "Jess, please, I messed up. But we can fix this. I'll get the money back. Just drop the case." I tilted my head. "Get the money back? Lucas, you lost everything. And even if you could fix it, why should I let you? You showed me exactly where I stand in your life. Now I'm showing you where you stand in mine." His eyes darkened. "You're serious about this?" "Dead serious." Lucas exhaled sharply, shaking his head. "You're making a mistake." "No, Lucas," I said coldly. "You did." He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. I didn't flinch. 2 days later, the police got involved. With the evidence Rachel had provided, the authorities began investigating Lucas's business. What they found was enough to put him behind bars for a long time. He had not only forged my signature but also committed multiple counts of fraud and financial crimes. Then came the moment I had been waiting for. The police showed up at my parents' house. I stood outside, watching as officers walked into the home where I had once spent my childhood. My mother and father came rushing out, confusion on their faces. "What is the meaning of this?" my father demanded. One of the officers turned to them. "Mr. and Mrs. Carter, you're being investigated for aiding and abetting fraud." My mother gasped. "That's ridiculous. We didn't do anything." I stepped forward then, meeting their shocked eyes. For the first time, I wasn't the daughter they dismissed. I was the woman standing against them. "You knew what Lucas was doing," I said, my voice emotionless. "And you supported him. Now you get to face the consequences." My father's face hardened. "Jessica, you don't have to do this." I let out a dry laugh. "Neither did you. But you did it anyway." My mother shook her head, tears filling her eyes. "We're your parents." "You stopped being my parents the day you sold me out." The officers proceeded with their work, gathering evidence, questioning them. My parents weren't arrested yet, but their involvement was undeniable. They wouldn't walk away from this without consequences. Later that night, Ethan and I sat in my restored beach house, mine again legally. "You did it," he said, watching me closely. I nodded, staring at the ocean waves in the distance. "Not yet, but I will." Ethan leaned forward. "How do you feel?" I thought about it. "Lighter," I admitted. "Like I can breathe again." He smiled. "Good. Because this isn't the end yet." I turned to him, determination in my eyes.
"No, Ethan."
"It's just the beginning." The trial against Lucas and my parents dragged on for weeks, but I never wavered. I had spent too much time being ignored, dismissed, and betrayed. Now I was finally in control, and I wasn't backing down. Lucas tried every trick in the book to escape the consequences. He played the victim, claimed he had been manipulated, blamed bad luck, even tried to guilt me into dropping the charges.
But it was too late for that.
The evidence was overwhelming. Bank records, fake documents, illegal business dealings, and even recordings of his fraudulent transactions. One afternoon, as I sat in Rachel's office reviewing the final documents, she looked up at me with a small smirk. He's running out of moves, Jessica. Lucas knows it's over. I nodded. He had destroyed himself. All I had done was shine a light on his crimes. The courtroom was silent the day the verdict was read. Lucas Carter, guilty on all charges. He was sentenced to several years in prison for fraud, forgery, and financial crimes. I didn't feel joy, just relief. But it wasn't over yet. My parents were next. Unlike Lucas, they hadn't committed direct fraud, but they had aided and abetted his crimes. The court found them complicit in covering up his illegal activities and benefiting from stolen money. Their punishment wasn't prison, but it was still severe, a massive financial penalty and a permanent mark on their records. I sat there, watching as my parents listened to the judge's ruling. They didn't look at me, didn't beg for forgiveness. Maybe they thought I was the monster for standing against them. But I didn't care anymore. When the case was over, I walked out of the courthouse with Ethan by my side. The air felt lighter. I had won, not just in court, but in life. I had reclaimed my home, my wealth, my name. But most importantly, I had reclaimed myself. The next day, my mother called me. It was the first time she had reached out since everything had happened. I stared at my phone, debating whether to answer. Finally, I picked up. "Jessica," she said softly. "I hope you're happy." Her words stung, but I didn't let them break me. "I am." She hesitated. "After everything we've been through, you still went through with it." I closed my eyes, gripping the phone. "You left me in that hospital, Mom. You stood by Lucas while he stole from me. You spent my money like I never existed." Silence. I sighed. "Tell me, if I had never come back, would you have even cared?" More silence. I nodded to myself. That's what I thought. She didn't try to defend herself. Maybe she knew there was nothing left to say. "I hope you have a good life, Jessica," she whispered before hanging up. I stared at the phone for a long time, but I didn't cry. There was nothing left to grieve. I had lost them long before I ever knew it. That evening, Ethan and I sat on the deck of my beach house, my home once again. The sun was setting, casting gold and pink streaks over the water. He studied me for a moment before speaking. "So, what now?" I smiled, feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time.
Peace.
"I move forward," I said simply. "Without them." Ethan nodded. "And if they ever try to come back?" I exhaled slowly. "Then they'll find out that some things can't be undone." We sat in comfortable silence, the waves crashing against the shore. The battle was over. And for the first time in my life, I was finally free.